What's up guys, Frank Macaluso here from Garageaholic giving you another episode of the N54 E90 maintenance series. Today we're going to be working on three major things. We're going to be replacing the spark plugs with new Iridium plugs. We're going to be gapping them as well. We're going to be throwing in the coils and we're going to be throwing in the old fuel injectors, but we're going to be cleaning them first. So there's a procedure for doing that and I want to go through that with you. Maybe you'll learn something guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Stick around. So take a look at some of the previous videos in this series as to how I got to this point here. Basically had to remove most of the cowling and some of the other things here in order to get access to this. I had already replaced the valve cover, so that's all good. And now we have our 6 spark plugs installed. We have no fuel injectors and no coils. So let's take the spark plugs out. Let's lay them out and inspect them to see what the condition of the spark plugs is prior to replacing them with our new Iridium ones. Now I always do spark plugs by hand and I'm using this special tool. This is a 14mm deep and very narrow walled socket with a magnet in the middle to allow for reinstallation of the spark plug a lot easier. This description is down in, this actually is in the description of the video, so you can take a look and see what you need to buy. They're about $5 to $10 for this and it's very, very useful and actually you can't use a regular walled 14mm anyway. So the idea with removing these, and I always do it by hand, is to get it in, and then you want to crack it, and then loosen them up. Get to that safe point, you can just use your hands. And there we go. Now let's put them all in line. Let's do 1 through 6, and we can identify if we have a problem with one cylinder by inspecting the spark plug to see if there's too much carbon buildup, if there's too much fuel on there, and that'll indicate whether or not we have a really healthy engine. So yeah, I got all 6 of my spark plugs, all 6 of my coils. Spark plugs will be replaced, coils will also be replaced, and I have my 6 injectors. These are the old original injectors. My customer is not going to be upgrading to Index 12s yet, so we're going to just be cleaning the seals on these and inspecting them. As far as the spark plugs go, you can see the old spark plug, the old three electrode version of the spark plug, and this is the new Iridium, NGK Iridium spark plugs. These guys actually get gapped to 22 thousandths. This is the part number of them, and the description, they'll also be in the description of the video. The SILK, they're the 97506s, guys. That's all they really are. That's what you need to know. But this is exactly, these are the real expensive type of spark plugs. These are about $100 for a full set, and they do get custom gapped. So let's gap them now. But before we do, I wanna go through and explain, see what's going on here. All of these spark plugs were pretty good. Were really dry like this. This is basically, you know, a very dry cylinder 1 spark plug, but all the other cylinders had oil on them, and the oil was on the threads, which I suspect was because of a leaky valve cover gasket getting into that chamber. Now, it didn't get into the combustion chamber, but it did get on the threads, so I'm glad that we replaced the valve cover gasket when we did. But overall, it looks like there's tons of room on these electrodes, room to grow, but yeah, I'm really glad that we're upgrading here to the Iridium style. Let's talk a little bit more about why these are important and why they're expensive and why they're good for high turbo applications when you're dealing with high pressure in the combustion chamber. Having spark plugs, the original spark plugs, is not necessarily very good for high turbo applications where you're going past 1 bar, 15, 16 PSI of pressure, because what'll happen is you'll have what's called lost spark, which was basically that you'll have, the spark will blow out before it's even a chance to be made inside the combustion chamber. And what'll happen is you'll have misfires. And when you have high turbo applications with misfires, it's going to come up as limp mode on your car. So your car is just going to go into limp mode if there's a certain number of misfires that happen simultaneously. This is gapped very, very small, about 22 thousandths, and that prevents that blown spark phenomenon that happens in high turbo applications. So this can really easily handle over 25 to 30 PSI of boost without a problem. They are about 10 to 12 bucks a piece. In fact, I think they're even a little bit more than that, but they're well worth it if you're going to be making at least 400 to 500 horsepower out of your N54. We have our ungapped NGK spark plug. This is basically set at 20,000. This is our spark plug gapping tool that has a marker starting at 20,000 that goes all the way up to 100,000. And the idea here is that you put the gapper in here and you turn it, and as you turn it, you're actually expanding this end here in order to meet the right gap requirement. When it stops on that number, that's what the gap on the spark plug is. The thing is that it actually is gapped closer than what we want for spec. Right now it's actually less than 20 thousandths. We want it actually at 22. So we're going to expand this a little bit, and then very easily you can expand it with a pair of pliers and just give it a little tiny bit of force. Right? We're going to actually open it up more than the 20 thousandths, and you can see here it goes right in. If I start twisting this, you'll see it kind of stops, kind of hit that resistance right here, right around 30 thousandths. So that means that we need to press this in with precision. And in order to do that, we have a spark plug gapping tool. This tool here actually pushes the spark plug in. And what you do is you screw this in, screw it in just enough, right? And you can see that the screw on the top pushes down on the electrode. And as you're pushing down, you can kind of let it go, kind of iteratively come back, use the tool, and check to see if you're within the spec. You should be pretty close after a couple of tries. But if you've gone too much, you need to start over again. So it does get iterative, but it is possible. You can see here, we actually went a little too tight, even with a tiny bit. So we're going to take this out and we're going to try again. With this, right? So you push down on the electrode and it pushes down, and then it springs back up. Not to its original position, but it does spring back up. So it can give you a false sense of actually how much you push down by knowing that. Here. All right, it's 20. Now we can kind of push it out a little bit. And I'm getting that resistance right around the 22, 23, right? So if it stops right around there, that means that you're gapped properly. So again, this guy is basically ready to go. This guy is gapped, it's close enough, and we can put it in. So we'll do that 6 times, 5 more times, and we'll be good to go. Now that we've done the spark plugs and gotten them all gapped and set, let's take a look at the fuel injectors. This is 1 through 6 in order. Inspecting each of these, you'll see that 1 isn't so bad, 2 is not so bad, 3 is a little bit dirty with a little bit of soot on the outside coming up the seal. 4 is pretty bad as well. 4 is not bad, actually. 5 is not bad. And then cylinder 6 is, looks like there is a similar amount of soot on that as well. So cylinder maybe 3 and 6 were questionable. What we're going to do is we're going to clean all these tips and we're going to install the fuel injectors back in their place. Okay, so to clean the fuel injectors, I decided to use an engine degreaser. It's safe, it's non-toxic, it's safe for the rubber. And the idea is that you just squeeze a little bit onto the rag, and all you do is just hold and squeeze on that. You know, give it a really good rub, and it'll look good as new. No gunk. Seal looks good. A very close inspection of the seal looks good. I've already done cylinder 6, and cylinder 6 looks really good too, so I'll just do this for the other 4, and then we'll install the fuel injectors, and then we have to clean the holes where the spark plug's installed so that, you know we're not throwing dirt in there, and it makes a really good seal on the copper gasket of the spark plug. Before I install the fuel injectors, I wanted to also clean the holes, and the fuel injector holes where they actually go right into is very easily cleaned with a pipe cleaner, and you just kind of put it in there and just go in and out a little bit on all the holes. Now mind you, this is just plastic. This is just a plastic pipe cleaner. This is not brass or steel or anything like that would normally scratch the aluminum, so you gotta be really careful as to the material that you use when you clean these. So yeah, this is the actual perfect type of material to use. And as you're cleaning the tip really good, you're gonna notice that there's this like black soot on it. You gotta get all that off. There's 2 pintles on the front. You probably can't see it here because I'm just using a GoPro and I can't zoom in. But there's 2 pintles on here that you need to be very, very well aware of. And they need to be clean of any obstructions. There is some dirt on the outside, you gotta get that off too, but there's 2 pintles, you have to be able to visually see them clearly for you to have really good combustion. So be sure to clean them really, really good. Now, I was gonna show you a time lapse, but I felt like this is a little bit more valuable. These fuel injector brackets are curved downward, and that's exactly how you need to install them. After your 2 injectors are actually installed, you need to take this bracket and put it underneath the injector, or above the injectors, and then fold it down, and then you can put your bolt through. Good idea to have all of your tools in place while you do this. But the idea is that you take this with one hand, fold it underneath until it clips right there. And I know it's probably hard for you to see. Having a magnet for the tip is a really good idea to get things started. Once you get that in the hole, I know there's a lot of sexual innuendos here, very sexually charged scene here. And then all you do is just screw it. There we go. How's that, huh? Screw it on. Do this by hand. There we go. And you can see here that the bracket is now installed, and it's effectively clamped both of these injectors in place. So you got to do that 3 times actually, because there's 2 more brackets, 2 for each cylinder. So you have to do that 3 times total. So there you have it, guys. All new spark plugs, all new coils, refreshed and cleaned injectors. This section is just about done, and so am I, guys. Thanks a lot for watching the N54 series, the N54 maintenance on this E90 335i. My name is Frank Macaluso. There's tons more videos where this came from on this car, what to do, how to do it, where to go, what parts you need. Take a look. Jesus Christ. Thanks guys for watching. My name's Frank Macaluso from Garageaholic, and I am out of here. Later.